Today we're going to be creating our very own puppets using origami. So the first video that we're going to look at is what is origami. We're going to learn a little bit about the history of it and understand where it came from and why, it became so popular. Then I have another video here of master artist or origami artist, Robert J. Lang. So we'll learn about how he uses mathematics and has created his own career around it, and also books, etc. about him. But he has some fascinating ways how he uses origami and creates these amazing sculptures. And then we're going to take a look at bits and pieces of this NASA video. And this NASA video talks about how they use origami in order to use different pieces in space. So origami can be used for not only paper, but other objects and materials as well. So what we're going to focus on today is creating our very own puppet. It could be an animal, it could be a character you're inspired by, whichever you're feeling drawn to. So it does not need to be an animal. And I can't wait to see what we all create. So grab a piece of paper and a pencil and some scissors to begin with, and then we're going to get ready to start folding. To begin origami, we need to start with a piece of paper and create it into a square. So when you're folding up a corner, so take the first corner that you want, I want you to try to meet it exactly up at the top. So it looks like a nice straight line. So not a little bit off to the side, but right above, match that corner up to the top. So your paper looks nice and ready. One hand holds and the other one slides and creates a crease. So just like this. Go over it a couple times so you get a nice good crease, and then you can see that you have an extra piece of paper. So using our scissors, we're going to cut it. Now, I don't recommend taking your scissors and cutting here with your paper closed, because then your square might not be an actual square anymore. So see, if I went to cut here, I might actually cut a little bit of my square. So what I prefer is to take out a pencil. So using your pencil, I want you to draw along that edge of what you folded and open up your paper. Now you can easily see that you have made a square. And then I want you to take that paper once you're done cutting it and set it off to the side, because you can use that extra scrap paper for creating ears or other features, wings, etc. of whatever you would want to use. Now that we have this first part, you can see the line that you have. You want to create it to look like an X. So I'm going to fold one of my other corners to the other side, and then my paper looks like it has an X on it. That is our goal. The next thing is you're going to take each corner and you're going to fold it up to that middle point and crease it again. And you're going to repeat this step with each of the 4 corners. Once you have all 4 corners completed and folded in, our next step is to flip our paper over. Just like we did on the front, we're going to now take these corners and fold them in towards the center of our paper again. So remember, our paper is flipped over, and now we are working on folding in each of those 4 corners in here as well. Once you have all of these done, the next step that we're going to do is we're going to fold our project in half. So you want to fold it in half and really work that crease. And then you'll open it up and you're going to fold it in half the other way. This just helps with what our initial folds were. Now that you have it, you can see where your fingers will go under. By doing those bends, it just helps. And then you can stick your fingers underneath and create what we call a cootie catcher, or one of those fun origami games like that. But now what we're going to do instead is we're going to draw our different characters on here. In this video, I'm going to be using a black permanent marker. But what I would like you to start with first is pencil. The reason I'm using a marker is because it's a lot easier for you to see in the video versus when I am doing it in pencil. So when you're doing this, you can work in a couple different ways. You can have it closed like this, where your one hand has the puppet all together and you're building it this way, or you can have it open. But I'll show you when I have it open how it changes and becomes a little bit more confusing about where your pieces and details should go. So when I'm going in, I'm really working on the piece. So this is the nose for my character. And you'll see that as I'm opening up my puppet, I'm also going in those lines that might come off to the side, and I'm really cleaning up my details. So here, I'm thinking of creating a version of a tiger because that's something that my children at home enjoy watching, Daniel Tiger. So I figured I'll come up with my own version of a tiger here. Now, whenever you're creating line designs and something that's on the other side, think about having the same line and, as you're working. So here you can see I'm going, ooh, I need to make the rest of this feature come all the way down, and drawing it where you're holding it together. I know your hand's going to get tired. You can rest your arm on the table if that helps you, and then look at the whole piece as you're building it. Where does it meet? Where does it touch? Does the mouth come all the way down that way, or does it not? I'm going for the option of I really want to have it where I use my puppet and I can open and close it so I can see a mouth inside. I have some examples that I have passed out at the table so you can look at some different animals and think about where you want to add in those details. Start with the features that are easiest for you, like the nose, where the mouth is, and then placing the eyes. And from there, you'll be able to build and add more characters and examples. For me, I figured I want to add in some feet. So I'm going to draw some feet here and just do a couple of lines for some toes. And then I'm going very basic with just adding in the stripes and like some tiger marks. Now, because I don't want to tire myself out as I'm drawing these details, I'm going to just do quick outlines like this, not like I did the nose. And I'm going to fold my paper flat when I go to color. So this is just to kind of guide me where I want my pieces and my features to go. So that way when I open it up and lay it flat, it's easier to know how am I coloring and what is what. So I'll show you what I mean when I say this. I'm going to flatten this out for us. You can see when I have it flat, it doesn't really give me an example or an idea of what I'm working with. And it can be very confusing. So you could technically go and draw on some of the lines and features this way if your hand gets tired. So for this side, it's easier for me to see, okay, I know where it goes. You can kind of piece it together and get an idea of, ooh, where's the one side that I want it to be on? You can leave your finger there or put a mark. And even, if you make an oops. So here I just started adding a few stripes here instead of on the side that I wanted. That's okay. you can look at it and go, all right, well, I'll make it work in my own way pretty soon. Even though it looks like that, that's fine. It's my beautiful oops, and I'll just create it. So for me, just as I'm building it, I am going to go in and draw my features and lines as I'm holding it, and then I can reflatten it and color in those details. So why don't you take this time now to start building your character and the lines and designs on it and work with what works for you. Now that I have my character done, I'm going to use my scrap paper and I'm going to create some ears for my tiger here. So I drew all of my lines, I colored it in, and I even added some texture. That's the next thing that I wanted to go in and just add in some of those textures. So when I go to cut out my ear, I'm remembering to fold my paper in half. Don't worry if it's crinkled, and I'm going to cut out my shapes. After I cut out my shapes, I'll add on any texture lines that I want to create as well. And then I'm going to use a glue stick. If you don't have a glue stick, you can use some tape and put together your puppet so you can see where exactly you want to place your ears or the features like the wings, the horn, whatever it is that you're coming up with. So add in the design and details first. And then you'll notice when I'm adding my ears on, what I'm going to do is use the glue stick and I'm going to hold it for a count of 10 seconds. The longer I hold it and press it, the better it's going to adhere and stick to my puppet in the place that I want it to. So the tricky part is when you fold it closed, sometimes you might need to fold it in the different, remember how we folded it in half one way and folded it in half another? Then you'll be able to see where your fingers are. So see if I just fold it in half like that, I can start to see where my fingers go. As you're getting to the end of creating your puppet where you can see on the outside, think about what do you want to add on the inside of the puppet's mouth. So here, I'm just going to add a tongue, something that you might see when you watch the Muppets or any other ventriloquist uses puppets, and they might go in and have just simple things to really give it a little bit more character. So for mine, I'm just adding in teeth and a tongue. I'm keeping it very simple, and I'm doing the same number on each side. So again, it's just a little bit easier for me to be able to have it where I'm holding it in my hand so I can see exactly where I want this to go. And it'll also help me if anything gets pieced um, differently where I might need to clear. So now is the time where I'm going to add my ears. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue and I'm going to stick them on. Lastly, you can also, after you've opened and closed your puppet a few times to see where you might be missing some features or details, you can always trim your corner. So I might round my corner a little bit here and on the other side just to play with my character a little bit more. Again, that's optional. You can also use those scraps to just add on something extra. Now, the next part that we're going to work on is coloring. I recommend to open up your project, lay it flat, and start coloring it that way.